Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances.
Free speech is a constitutionally given right to speak or express yourself in any way as long as you do not harm someone.
Historically, free speech has been protected under the Constitution, although there have been some challenges to it. For example, symbolic speech was protected in the 1989 Supreme Court case Texas v. Johnson. After Texas passed a law outlawing desecration of the flag, Gregory Lee Johnson burned a flag right outside of the Dallas City Hall. He was arrested and put on trial, but eventually the Supreme Court decided 5-4 that burning the flag is protected under the First Amendment's right to free speech. Another way in which free speech has been protected throughout history is shown in the 1977 Supreme Court case National Socialist Party of America versus the village of Skokie. The mainly Jewish town of Skokie, many of whom survived the Holocaust, attempted to stop a neo-Nazi march in their town. The Supreme Court decided 5-4 that the National Socialist Party had the right to hold this demonstration because they weren't directly using hate speech. But what does this exercise of free speech look like?
Symbolic speech is a form of free speech that allows a message to be conveyed purely through actions instead of words. Recently, this form of speech has gained media attention as NFL players have kneeled during the national anthem in protest of racial injustice.
I mean, ultimately, it's to bring awareness and make people, realize what's really going on in this country. There are a lot of things that are going on that are unjust, people aren't being held accountable for, and that's something that needs to change. That's something that, this country stands for freedom, liberty, justice for all, and it's not happening for all right now.
Many people believed that this was a disrespectful form of protest, as it did not honor those who fought and died for the freedoms we celebrate in America.
Before watching a football game, you want to see those players be proud of their country, respect our country, respect our flag, and respect our national anthem. And we think they will. We certainly hope they will.
However, it is a constitutionally given right to exercise symbolic speech.
As a veteran, I personally find it disappointing, but it is their right. The beauty of living in the democracy, this great democracy called the United States of America, it is within your right to do that. But for me personally, it doesn't work because the flag represents a lot of sacrifice and commitment on the part of men and women of all races to keep this country a free country, a democracy, where you can choose to exercise those rights. So that's a personal choice that each individual has to make. For me, that's not the choice I would make.
I feel that it's their freedom of speech, but I feel that it shouldn't be allowed because you have people that fought for you to be able to be in that football game, that fought for your rights to play football. It's freedom. But it shouldn't be a freedom to where you sit down because of the way you feel and you feel like you shouldn't stand up. It's 5 to 10 seconds of standing up. Anybody can do that. So I think everybody should stand up and respect our soldiers.
Racism is evil, and those who cause violence in its name are criminals and thugs, including the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and other hate groups that are repugnant to everything we hold dear as Americans.
Another issue concerning free speech that has been in the news lately is the rise of popularity in the alt-right and white nationalist ideology. After statues dedicated to Confederate soldiers have been taken down across the South, people have begun to protest that this erases history that should be remembered. On August 11, 2017, alt-right and Nazi protesters gathered in Charlottesville, Virginia to attempt to stop the removal of a Confederate statue. This protest quickly turned violent, and eventually a young counter-protester by the name of Heather Hayers died because of a car driving into a crowd. Since these violent protests, people have questioned whether hate speech should be protected under the guise of free speech.
There certainly are limits already about hate speech and any kind of free speech. You have libel, slander, those are limitations on free speech. And like you've said, hate speech is definitely a limitation. However, currently, the Supreme Court has only limited hate speech in the case of Virginia v. Black, where it was hate speech that had intimidation as a part of it. And that's currently the only limitation they have. As long as there's no intimidation aspect of it, the Supreme Court and the government does not limit hate speech. Nazi propaganda is hurtful speech. It does hurt people, even if they may not be inciting for violence or intimidating people necessarily while they're speaking. There still is an intimidation factor. There is a clear connection between Nazis and violence, and that is not something that can just be waved away by free speech. I think that it should be limited in a way, and I don't see the slippery slopes that people like to claim that come with limiting Nazi speech, because there is that clear connection with violence and hatred.
I think I speak on behalf of my entire team when I say that free speech means a lot to us. Because of free speech, I'm allowed to amplify the voices of those I care about, and my own in some cases. I'm allowed to be an ally to people of color, to LGBT people, to people of poverty, to people who just simply can't get their voice out, can't be heard. And because of that, I feel this empowerment inside of me. I can make change in the world, and I can be who I want to be, and I can help those who need help. Free speech means that together we can make a difference, and alone you can make a difference. That's what the Constitution means to me.